Hello and welcome to our outside broadcast, outside Parliament on the evening or the late afternoon when they're just about to vote on whether there should be a ceasefire in Gaza and an end to the genocide. I'm joined here by Mick Whelan, who'll be speaking a bit later on this platform. Mick is the General Secretary of ASLEF. Mick, there's a lot of shenanigans going on in Parliament about who's backing which amendment. There's a Tory amendment, there's a Labour amendment, and there's the SNP motion. What do you make of all that stuff going on in there?
I think today's the day where politicians stop posturing preening. I think today's the day where we have to look at the number of deaths, the humanitarian issues, and have an immediate ceasefire to allow the children of Gaza some respite. And I think playing the games about whose amendment's best and about who we're going to support or we're going to abstain if we don't get our way is not the right thing to be doing today. If this is the mother of all parliaments, let's show what democracy can do and let's do the right thing.
I mean, I can't even get my head around all these different things. Clauses or whatever on top of ceasefire, like calling for hostages to be released as well as a ceasefire. Does that not make the ceasefire more difficult if you're going to say that you have hostages released too as part of it?
Look, anything that ends this process. Look, we condemn as a peace movement all atrocities, but at this moment in time, in real time, we are seeing people being starved. We are seeing energy being turned off. We are seeing the decimation of a nation and people dying. And if that isn't enough for everybody to get around the table to ask for a ceasefire, to allow humanitarian aid, right, to do the right thing by the people of Gaza, then we're in the wrong democracy.
Yeah, and you know, there's a lot of people coming who've just been doing a protest, trying to get into Parliament to actually see what's happening, and they've sort of a lot of them being turned away. Do you think this, like you're kind of already saying this, but is this another indication that Parliament is really inadequate and there's just not enough being done? And it just seems like people are fed up with Parliament on this.
I think people are fed up with Parliament. I think people are fed up with an awful lot of issues. I think people want to see action. And all the people have come out here today in the rain, all the people have come out every weekend in the hundreds of thousands, and all the people who've done that in every city and town around the world are demanding action. And today is for this Parliament to show it can take the right action in support of real people and real lives.
Right, thank you so much for coming out. I don't know how long we've got before the speeches start. We're a bit late coming on. Apologies if you've been waiting for this, but there are more people coming out now. We've also got on the here. Thank you, Mick. We've also got Sabi Segal, who's often on the show and contributes, and is also a member of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign in Camden, which happens also to be Jeremy Corbyn's, Keir Starmer's constituency. How are you doing, Sabri? What have you come here today to do, really? What have you been on the protest in Parliament?
The protest has been so big. The lobby has been, the queue for the lobby was so long. I had to give up in the end. So I just thought I'd attend the rally. It's very heartening to see thousands and thousands of Palestine supporters coming to lobby their MPs. In my case, I suspect it would make no difference. My MP is Keir Starmer. I doubt that he would have rushed out to see me had I got into the chamber, not to the chamber, into the House of Commons. So instead of which, I've come out here to show my solidarity with the Palestinian struggle for liberation. The Labour position seems to have shifted slightly since the vote last November, when they refused to call for a ceasefire. Now they've accepted they've put an amendment to the Scottish National Party resolution calling for a ceasefire, but they're hedging it with various conditions. So that's not good news. But there'll be, it seems, some kind of revolt on the part of Labour MPs who have been inundated with protests from their constituents complaining about their previous refusal to support the call for a ceasefire.
I mean, do you think that they can be forgiven for not saying anything much earlier? I mean, we've got 30,000 deaths now. Can they just sort of get away with just saying this now? It just seems ridiculous.
I agree. I think they can't get away with it. I think the overwhelming majority of the British public, some 70%, support the call for a ceasefire. I think history will judge our government and our opposition, our Labour opposition, very badly. They will look very bad in the history books. Their refusal to call for a ceasefire, their complicity in the genocidal assault by the Israeli state on the population of Gaza, 1.5 million of whom are now shivering and quivering with fear in hunger, without food, without water, without medicine in Rafah, with the Israelis threatening to invade Rafah and drive them out of Gaza, out of Palestine, into the Sinai desert, which is really what the Israelis want. They want to complete the ethnic cleansing that was begun in 1948, when 3/4 of the Palestinian population were expelled at gunpoint. They want to complete that process and have a state from the river to the sea, which is free of all Palestinians, and it represents 100% Jewish territory.
I mean, it seems to me that this is ethnic cleansing, and to sort of have a motion or an amended motion that says we want to stop ceasefire, we want to have a ceasefire, but also want to stop the hostages, release the hostages. Does that not indicate that they have no idea of the gravity of what's going on? It's almost like they're refusing to accept ethnic cleansing. Will they ever see that? Everyone can see that this is a whole number of people, the whole land stripped, bombed to death. It's ethnic cleansing. There's no way that they're showing that in this motion or these amendments.
The Israeli state, the Israeli government, which is a far-right government, and the IDF, the so-called Israeli Defense Force, have no regard for Palestinian civilians. In fact, they have deliberately targeted, carpet-bombed civilian areas, knowing that they're going to kill thousands of innocent Palestinian civilians. For them, all Palestinians are guilty. I think they want to punish them for having voted for Hamas in 2008, which the Palestinians did, out of despair, because the previous leadership, the existing leadership of the Palestinians, the PLO, and then the Palestinian Authority, have been complicit with the Israeli state and have done nothing to secure the liberation and the human rights of the Palestinians. So yes, ethnic cleansing is the aim of the Israeli government. Ethnic cleansing carried out by genocidal methods.
I mean, one other aspect of this that maybe, I don't know if the motion or the amendments include this, but the British are complicit in supplying arms to Israel. Also, there are stories that the British intelligence is supporting Israel's bombing and have been, and also that Britain is using Cyprus as a base for supplies to Israel. I mean, this has got to stop. You can't just say ceasefire now. Surely that should be part of any motion, any amendments, and anything.
Yeah, I totally agree. I have heard these rumours as well that the British are using their base in Cyprus to provide military assistance to Israel. Nothing would surprise me. The British, like the Americans, are totally complicit. They're egging the Israelis on. The British government will simply rubber stamp whatever the Americans tell them to do, and our Labour opposition is guilty of the same complicity. There is a plan to mount an electoral challenge to our MP, my MP, Keir Starmer, in the forthcoming general election, which I think will shake up. Hopefully, will shake up British politics a bit. But yes, you're absolutely right. Britain is totally complicit, as indeed are the Americans who have been egging the Israelis on. But there is some sign that even the Americans are getting slightly concerned about the extent to which Israel is prepared to go to murder, to carpet bomb thousands of civilians. I mean, this is obviously having profound repercussions in the Middle East area as a whole, among the Arab populations, the Muslim populations throughout the Middle East and beyond. And there is a grave and ongoing risk of an escalation of the conflict, bringing countries like Iran into the fray, which of course is the last thing the Americans want.
I mean, looking at the crowd that has assembled here, I mean, there's a lot of young people. I mean, that must give us hope that this isn't going to be the end of it. I mean, I worry that they think no one's enlightened on this, but the young people seem to be very up on what's happening here.
No, absolutely. This is one of the most encouraging signs of the recent protest movement. I'm used to being in meetings with people having the same colour beard as me, and the same colour hair as me. But what we're seeing now is the mobilization of thousands of young people, thousands of young Muslims, including young Muslim women. We've seen that extensively in Camden, for example, at our fortnightly local protests. But we see it now. We see it now on these national mobilizations, the national marches, and today's lobby. So you're absolutely right. They're angry, they're militant, and they're determined to to do what it takes to secure solidarity with the Palestinian people, who depend so profoundly on our solidarity.
I mean, the thing is, I'm out here with you because, in a way, we won't get any of this on the mainstream media. But these young people here, they don't need the mainstream media. It seems like a lot of the establishment's tools are no longer being respected. Like Parliament isn't being respected in some ways, and now the media is not being respected. This is all kind of like revolutionary in some ways, isn't it?
Well, you could say that. I think there is...
But we better go now, so, well, thank you, we'll see you later.
We'll see you later, thank you.
Thank you, Sabi.
Yeah, thank you.
From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! And what do we want? Ceasefire! When do we want it? Now! What do of the House of Commons to show their MPs that the people of Britain demand an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. I'm going to introduce our first speaker fairly quickly because he's got to get back inside for the vote, but please give a very warm welcome to the MP for Argyll and Bute, Brendan O'Hare, as SNP Foreign Affairs spokesperson.
Thank you very much. It's an honour to be here and to speak to you this evening. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being the people who have dragged that place inch by inch towards doing the right thing. We are still a long, long way off where we need to be. But if it wasn't for you and the millions of people across these islands with your relentless, dedicated campaigning, we'd still be a million miles from where we need to get to. And that is an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. It was my privilege to open today's debate for the SNP and to be that voice calling for an immediate ceasefire. It also gave me the opportunity to reiterate our call on Israel to end its illegal collective punishment of Palestinian civilians and to demand once again that the UK does not sell arms to Israel. Because more than anybody else, the people who supply the weapons are the people who can dictate when a ceasefire happens. What happens in that place tonight really matters. And as members of Parliament, we will be remembered for what we did and for what we chose not to do. And quite rightly, for decades to come, people will say to us, you were there, what did you do? And I'm proud to say that for myself and my SNP colleagues, that we can say, when we saw 30,000 innocent people killed, when we saw almost 100,000 innocent people injured, when we saw tens of thousands of traumatised children with physical and mental damage that will last the rest of their lives, when we saw almost 2 million people displaced, when we saw refugee camps bombed, hundreds of journalists killed, hospitals reduced to rubble, places of worship attacked, and ambulances which had been sent to pick up children hit by missiles with those rescued children still inside. When we saw that, we chose that we would do everything we possibly could to make it stop. But we also chose to listen. We listened to the International Court of Justice when they determined that there was a plausible grounds that Israel was committing in the process of committing genocide. We listened to the anguished pleas of Palestinians begging for our help to make it stop. And we listened to you, the millions of people from across these islands. And we will use our privileged position tonight to demand that immediate ceasefire. And I hope that other members of the House will come through and support us, because only by doing that can the UK put itself on the side of peace. Can it put itself on the side of justice? Can it put itself on the side of the people? And it can put itself on the right side of history. Thank you again for what you do. And no matter what happens tonight, we will continue to campaign with every fibre of our being for justice and peace in Palestine. Thank you so much.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! London, make some noise! Now, earlier today, in the pouring the way around that building over there. That building that is full of racists and full of war criminals. Today, we as the Palestine Solidarity Movement formed one of the largest parliamentary lobbies in British history. And today, it is the Palestine Solidarity Movement that stands as the true representatives of the British people. Because we drown out the genocide apologists in our parliament. We drown out the hateful, divisive rhetoric of the cabinet and of the far right. And with our voices raised, with our flags and with our heads held high, we send a message to our so-called representatives inside. Support for genocide will never be in our name. Support for apartheid will never be in our name. Support for oppression of any kind will never be in our name. Over the last 4 months, we have been part of an unprecedented global movement. In schools, in universities, in workplaces, we have built an unbreakable resolve to stand with the Palestinian people until their liberation. We know that the devastated neighbourhoods of Gaza are not too far from the streets of Britain. The government has sent hundreds of millions of pounds worth of weapons to help Israel wage its campaign of genocide. Yesterday, only 2 countries voted against a UN resolution for a ceasefire: the USA and Britain, its ever-faithful ally in imperialist terror. It has never been clearer that the struggle for peace and justice at home is inextricably bound to the struggle of the Palestinian people. We fight the same racist politicians, the same climate-destroying corporations, the same greed-driven arms companies. We are here outside Parliament to show the politicians that they can never divide our struggles. They can never break the power of our global solidarity. Our message is clear. We will remember. We will remember the dignity of the 30,000 Palestinian martyrs. We will remember the complicity of the British factories that make Israel's bombs and planes. We will remember the names of every single MP who votes once more to continue Israel's genocide. An immediate and an unconditional ceasefire is the absolute minimum. And any cowardly amendment that gives the brutal Israeli military a choice of when to end their genocide is not worth the paper on which it is written. There is no longer any British political party that can continue to take the votes from our communities for granted. We will remember. We will hold them to account, not just at the ballot box, but every single day until Palestine is free. If you do not vote for an unconditional ceasefire, you have blood on your hands. Every Palestinian who faces another night under the terror of Israeli bombing, another morning without food, another evening under the rubble searching for their relatives, needs nothing less than an immediate ceasefire. Whichever way MPs vote tonight, we will be back. We will keep marching, we will keep lobbying, we will keep boycotting. We will never stop because we know that the spring is coming. We know that the hour of liberation is near. One day soon, the people of Palestine will return to their homes. The only question for our MPs is whether they wish to still have their jobs when that day comes. It's now a huge honour to introduce Mick Whelan.
Good evening. Proud to be with you here again this evening. Not so proud of what's going on in the building behind me. Are we really going to be discussing who has the best amendment? Are we really going to be discussing how many people are going to die while we make these decisions? Are we really countenancing the fact that 29,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since 23? 12,000 of these are children. 7,000 people are missing. 69,000 Palestinians have been injured. And we're going to discuss whether we demand an immediate ceasefire and how. How? In what world? In what humanitarian country can we not demand immediately a ceasefire? And let's not forget, while this is going on, 400 people have been killed in the West Bank and 4,000 injured. More than half the homes in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged. And damage has been done at 300 educational facilities, 120 ambulances and 260 places of worship. Yet we're going to wait and see which amendment is the best. 85% of the Gaza population is internally displaced and 1.7 million people are living in refugee camps. Well, that's a war crime. If you intentionally or recklessly displace the people, that's a war crime. But we're going to talk about which amendment is best. A quarter of the population are starving, and treatable diseases and illness are becoming fatal due to lack of medical equipment. Few hospitals are open, and those that are only partly functioning and overwhelmed by the numbers of people who need care. Yet we're going to see which amendment is best. We know, and the world knows, that we are watching what is happening. And everywhere else in the world, they're demanding a ceasefire now, as we should demand tonight of our politicians and for our own children and our grandchildren to be proud of us. I keep hearing the words, history will tell who was on the right side. The people of Gaza cannot wait for history. They need us to be their voice now, and they need that immediate ceasefire. Every hour we wait, people are dying. And let's not forget, we are complicit. For every minute, for every hour, for every arm that we supply, we break international law. Thank you for coming out tonight. Your voice will be heard. I hope they're listening across the road. People of Gaza needs us. Palestine will be free. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire!
Make some noise for Mick Whelan! Our next speaker is a veteran anti-apartheid campaigner. He's a former member of the ANC and he's running against Keir Starmer in the next general election. Please make some noise for Andrew Feinstein!
Thank you very much for turning out tonight. Let us not forget that when Nelson Mandela said Palestine is the moral issue of our time, he also said to us, his members of parliament, never forget that you are here to serve the people who elected you. You are here to serve the people who pay your salary. This bunch behind us, whose salaries we pay, seem to have forgotten that. The problem we have is they think that they represent and are accountable to the British arms companies who are complicit in the genocide in Gaza. Let us make clear to them now that not only is it time to start representing us, your constituents, rather than the arms dealers, rather than the Israel lobby, but come the local elections, come the general election, we will not vote for anybody who wasn't calling for a ceasefire from the 7th of October. The time has come for Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer to understand that the vast majority of British people don't want a ceasefire now. We wanted a ceasefire on the 7th of October. The least they can do today is unequivocally support an immediate and unconditional ceasefire and end all arms sales to Israel now. And let us continue to remind them that today, tomorrow, until Palestine is free, we are all Palestinian. And let us never let them forget that when Nelson Mandela walked free after 27 years in an apartheid jail, he said, "Our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinian people." Thank you.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Friends, I'm proud to welcome our next speaker. He's representing the Stop the War Coalition, one of the organisations that has organised all the national demonstrations over the several months since the criminal attacks on Gaza. Please welcome Andrew Murray.
Brothers and sisters, I don't know how the vote is going to go in the House of Commons in an hour or two's time, but already this has been a day of shame for British politics. Children are eating grass in Gaza. 1.5 million people are huddled in Rafah waiting for a genocidal Israeli onslaught. Aid is being blocked, and all day our MPs have been parsing phrases, haggling over wording, jockeying for party advantage, and I exempt the SNP from this criticism, the two major parties. We even had Labour MPs blocking the start of the debate by raising petty procedural points. Shame on all of them. And shame on Lisa Nandy, who said today Labour couldn't vote for the SNP motion because it referenced collective punishment for Palestinians. 30,000 dead, 1.5 million intents. What is that if it is not a collective punishment? But brothers and sisters, if politics is moving, and it is, when even Keir Starmer has to talk about an immediate humanitarian ceasefire, it is not because they've had a change of heart. Amazon hasn't just delivered that emergency conscience that Keir Starmer ordered online. It is because of the strength and power of this movement over 4.5 months of marching in solidarity with the Palestinian people. And if Prince William says too many lives have been lost, I don't know where the too many point was reached for His Royal Highness, but all that proves is that our movement is rattling the windows of Buckingham Palace and shaking the establishment. And however they vote tonight, we should remember that what happens in the House of Commons is not the be-all and end-all. They voted for aggression against Iraq, but the Iraqi people had a vote and the British Army left with its tail between its legs. They voted to occupy Afghanistan and that ended disastrously. Libya, Syria. When they talk about we need a sustainable peace in the Middle East, it starts with stopping the wars of intervention, getting British and American imperialism out of the Middle East. And if they are all ceasefire now supporters today, why not tomorrow stop all arms sales to Israel, boycott, sanctions, divestment from the genocide aggressors? And let's not forget when election day comes. There is a serious and simple message for all of them. And those of them who think we're going to forget what they voted for over the last 4 months, they are sadly mistaken. We know the slogan, no ceasefire, no vote. No vote. Now, the Stop the War Coalition has never told people who to vote for. But I will tell you how you should vote when the time comes. We should all vote with the screams of the Gazan children in our ears, with the tears of their parents in our eyes, with the image of Hind Rajab lying amidst the body of her family, reciting verses from the Holy Quran to the operator from the Red Crescent, waiting for the Israeli aggressors to come and murder that poor 5-year-old Palestinian girl. And we should vote with, in our hearts, the undying flame of international solidarity, of justice for the Palestinians, and use that vote to sweep away the imperialists behind us. Thank you.
As loudly as possible. No ceasefire! 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 Our next speaker is the president of the University and College Union, representing thousands of education workers across the country. Please make some noise for Justine Mercer.
Good evening. Yes, I represent University and College Union, and we have 120,000 workers in higher education, further education, prison, adult and community education. And I want to tell you how much the destruction of education in Gaza is a crime against humanity, especially for the post-16 sector. We know that they have bombed every single university, reducing most of them to rubble. They have murdered 94 university professors at least. And I want to talk about two things in regard to that. First, the response of university vice-chancellors in the UK. Their silence has been deafening. Shortly, we will commemorate the second anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And the difference between the way in which vice-chancellors reacted to the Ukrainian invasion and that of Palestine could not be more stark. Why are they not offering sanctuary? Why are they not offering for Palestinian students to continue their studies here? The second thing I want to say is about the politicians. And as speakers have already said, it is appalling that whilst people are dying moment by moment, our politicians are arguing over a particular form of words. That is a terrible indictment of their complicity and their seeming indifference. They're warm words, but their appalling inability to act. But I want also to talk about what we need eventually, when I very much hope we have a lasting and sustainable ceasefire. We need to be generous in rebuilding Palestine. We need to rebuild brick by brick, only better. That is genuinely the very best education that the Palestinian people deserve. They had it really well to begin with. They have more PhD students per capita of the population than anywhere else in the world. Education is their lifeblood, and it needs to be rebuilt bigger and better, and the Palestinian people deserve nothing less, no matter what it costs. So we demand an immediate and unconditional ceasefire, and we demand that the UK supports all of the efforts to rebuild when the time comes. Solidarity, peace and justice.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Friends, while so many of the MPs in that building behind us are condoning war crimes, are playing parliamentary games, it's a real pleasure to welcome one of these few MPs who've been with the Palestinian people since the start. Please welcome Belle Ribeiro Addy, MP for Streatham. Welcome, Belle.
Thank you so much to all of you that have come out to be here this evening. I bring you solidarity from all of my colleagues in the House. Many of them are in the actual debate, and voting will begin in 15 minutes, which is why most of them cannot make it out to you today. But you've seen many of them have been on the marches with you and have been speaking out and have made it very, very clear that we need a ceasefire now. Now, I've heard you chanting no ceasefire, no vote. And I don't blame you, because we were not sent to that place to pontificate, to make loads of very nice and warm words over particular issues, fearing about our careers. We were sent to that place to represent all of you. And the British public have made it absolutely clear that they want a ceasefire now. And people think that perhaps maybe, what we say in the UK doesn't make a difference. But yesterday, the UN Security Council resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire was voted down. 15 countries. And the people that made it that way, the UK abstained and the USA vetoed. Now, to say that the UK does not have a stake in this is absolutely untrue, because we are the formal colonial power. We are the ones that set the region down this course. We have a special duty to be calling for peace. And when I hear colleagues in there, as I said, massaging words, talking about nuance and all of these different things, I'm ashamed. And I'm ashamed because thousands of people are dying. Every single country has the right to defend itself, but the average age of a child being killed in Gaza is 5 years old. Just 5 years old. Tell me, what threat does a 5-year-old pose? What threat does a 5-year-old pose? So I'm pleased that you are all here and that you are very, very clear about what you want from your country, that your country should be demanding a ceasefire now. And whilst it may not seem like there are many of us, I hope there'll be a difference in the vote tonight. I hope it will be clear where we stand, and I hope that in the coming weeks the UK will speak up and say that we want an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. Thank you.
Make some noise for Belle! Okay, we're going to try a chant from an older anti-imperial struggle, and it goes like this, or it's an updated version. Rishi Sunak, what do you say? How many kids have you killed today? Rishi Sunak, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
Rishi Sunak, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
Rishi Sunak, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
David Cameron, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
David Cameron, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
David Cameron, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
And Keir Starmer, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
Keir Starmer, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
Keir Starmer, what do you say?
How many kids have you killed today?
Free, free!
Palestine!
Free, free!
Palestine!
In our thousands, in our millions!
We are all Palestinians!
In our thousands, in our millions!
We are all Palestinians!
In our thousands, in our millions! Minister. Please make some noise for Jeremy Corbyn!
Thank you all for being here today on this wet, cold day in February, but we're standing once again in solidarity with the people of Palestine. That's why we're here, that's why we march all the time, and you know what, we're going to carry on marching as long as it takes to bring about peace, bring about justice, and bring about a ceasefire to save lives in Palestine. Already 30,000 lives have been lost in Gaza. Already 29,000 bombs have been dropped on Gaza by US-made weapons. Already there are people dying from wholly preventable conditions such as dehydration, starvation, lack of oxygen in hospitals, lack of anesthetics when operations are taking place. There is a human disaster going on at the present time. This debate today was delayed by an hour by a lot of time-wasting tactics by people, which is extremely bad and irritating, and it was like parliamentary games being played while lives are being lost of the Palestinian people. So we've got to make our voice very, very clear. Very, very clear in demanding a ceasefire to save lives, a ceasefire to stop the killing of people. But it's also what happens after that. As Antonio Guterres said, after he condemned the October the 7th killings, said, but all this didn't come from nowhere. It's come from years of the encirclement of Gaza, the siege of the people of Gaza. It's come from military occupation of the West Bank, hundreds of roadblocks preventing people going about their normal lives. It's come from placing 500,000 settlers on the West Bank. It's also come from the lack of justice for refugees living in Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, and the huge Palestinian diaspora. And the heart-rending stories of people that have lost dozens of their relatives. Hussam Zumlot himself has lost 100 members of his widest family. That is the story of what is going on. And so a ceasefire now is absolutely vital. Aid getting in is absolutely vital. Letting the prisoners go free that have been grabbed in the West Bank over the last few months, that is absolutely vital. But it's also about justice by ending the occupation. It's also, here I think it's important to state a principle. The principle is the people of the whole area, be they residents of Israel or Palestinians, have a right to decide their own future. It's not up to us to impose a settlement on the people of the region. That's a basic act of solidarity. And so we are going to carry on with all the demands we possibly can to end this war and get a ceasefire, end British military aid to Israel. Say to our friends in the United States, get onto it, get real, and stop American armed exports to Israel. In other words, bring about a ceasefire because there won't be any more weapons to bomb the people of Gaza with. And let's get that peace that the Palestinian people deserve and have been denied for so long. Last thing I'd say is this. When some of the people today, MPs that is, said Egypt should open up the border crossing in Rafah, I can understand why Egypt has not done that. Because it would amount to yet another Nakba. The population of Gaza, 1 million of them in Rafah at the present time, would be forced into the Sinai, and another Gaza would be created, another injustice would be created, and the Palestinian people would once more be on their eternal search for peace, for truth, for justice, and for their identity on the world stage. We will never forget or ignore the plight of the Palestinian people. Thank you.
Thanks very much indeed, Jeremy. One of our few great MPs, truly great MPs. And it's a pleasure now to welcome one of our MPs who's, I think, one of the greatest exponents of justice and human rights in the House of Commons. Please welcome Caroline Lucas MP.
Friends,
Let's be clear that what is happening in Gaza is not just a humanitarian catastrophe, it is a war crime. More than 29,000 have been killed at the hands of the IDF. 24,000 children are orphans. There's a critical shortage of food, of clean water, of medicine, and of shelter. For 138 days, the men, women, and children living in this tiny strip of land have been terrorized. The UN has warned that Gaza is on the brink of famine. More than 1 million people risk starvation. The scale of the suffering caused by this deliberate and relentless collective punishment is unprecedented, and that is why we are here tonight to call for an immediate and permanent ceasefire now. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Because friends, we know it is only a ceasefire now that can pave the way for a lasting political solution. Only an immediate ceasefire now can bring about an end to the occupation of Palestine. We need a ceasefire designed to deliver long-term peace and freedom and justice and security to all Palestinians and to all Israelis. One that will stop the airstrikes and the military attacks, that will stop the planned ground offensive into Rafah, where 1.5 million are sheltering. So today, and every day, until we get it, we demand ceasefire now. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire because what is happening in Gaza is also a failure of political strategy, of leadership, and of courage. 134 of the hostages taken in the terror attacks on October the 7th are still being held. And we continue to call for their urgent, unconditional and immediate release. The bombing and the displacement and the suffering of so many people has failed to secure that outcome. Netanyahu is destroying Palestinian families. He is betraying Israeli families too. He is breaking the rules of law. He is violating fundamental rights, undermining democracy, all to save his own skin. And the US and the UK are doing little more than wringing their hands as it happens. This moment is a test of our moral compass and of our compassion. History will judge who has failed and who has stood for what is right. And I am pretty sure that history will not look kindly on those seeking to justify their lack of leadership for refusing to recognize the ICJ interim ruling. For decades, successive Israeli governments have broken international law with impunity, and for decades, the UK has enabled them. The UK has a legal responsibility to act to prevent genocide, and yet this government continues to allow the arms sales to Israel. It has defunded aid to Gaza. And if that wasn't enough, it sought to weaponize anti-Semitism and tried to silence peaceful protest. But we will not be silenced. We say enough. We are in our hundreds. We are in our millions. We are all Palestinians now. We want principle. We want an immediate ceasefire that will end this conflict and end the suffering on civilians. Friends, the Green Party has always stood with Palestine. We are proud of our commitment to human rights, to ending arms sales, to BDS and to international law. I was one of the first MPs to stand up in Parliament to call for a permanent and immediate ceasefire, and I will be voting for the SNP motion tonight. Friends, we need to make sure that every MP does the right thing and knows what we want. So say it with me now, loud and clear. We want a ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Thank you. We
Palestinian Forum in Britain. Please make some noise for Farah Saber.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. Tonight our hearts ache as we confront a painful reality, the ongoing suffering of our brothers and sisters in Gaza. For too long we have witnessed the horrors of violence and destruction tearing apart our homeland. And yet, despite our cries for justice, the response from the government has been nothing short of a betrayal. Their recent call for a mere temporary ceasefire falls shamefully short of what our people desperately need. We reject the half-hearted attempt to address the ongoing suffering. We know that our resilience will not be pacified with temporary relief. Our people deserve more than fleeting moments of peace amidst the violence. They deserve the promise of a future free from the constant fear of oppression. Let me be clear, we will not accept anything less than a permanent and sustainable solution to end the bloodshed in Gaza. We will not be silenced by hollow promises or empty gestures. We demand action, not just words. We demand a ceasefire now and free Palestine. Free, free! Palestine. Free, free! Palestine. The Labour Party, which was once a true representative of the people, sharing their pain and sorrow and standing with the oppressed, is now sadly buttering the state of Israel whilst it is committing a genocide against an innocent population. We demand Labour's commitment to the people and to be held accountable for delaying an end to this genocide. Our struggle is real, our pain is palpable, and our demands are non-negotiable. We will not settle for crumbs of compassion while Gaza crumbles under the weight of occupation. So tonight, I urge you to join me in raising our voices in defiance. Let us stand together as one, united in our quest for liberation and freedom. Let us demand that the government listen to the cries of the Palestinian people and take meaningful action to end the suffering in Gaza and Palestine once and for all. Let our MPs hear it loud and clear. Ceasefire now! 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 Our resilience knows no bounds, and our spirit cannot be broken. Together, we will continue to fight for the rights, dignity, and liberation of our people in Gaza. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ceasefire now! 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 Friends, I'd like to welcome our next speaker. She's representing the Labour in Palestine group, and she's one of the very few members of the Labour NEC who stands up and fights for the people of Gaza and Palestine. Please welcome Jess Barnard.
Free, free! Palestine. Free, free! Palestine. We need to be louder because they're voting imminently. So free, free! Palestine. Free, free! Palestine. 75 years on from the Nakba, Palestinians have been subjected to occupation, to apartheid, to death, to instability and dehumanization at the hands of Israel with the support, diplomatic and military, from Britain and the US and much of the global north. And for Palestinians in the West Bank, I saw with my own eyes when I went there. There is no protection from illegal settlers who inflict violence on them, enabled and supported by the Israeli military. There is no justice when they are arbitrarily detained and held in prisons. There is no freedom for refugees in Bethlehem when they are confined to camps under 24-hour surveillance by Israeli snipers. There is no justice, and for most of us in Britain, we can't comprehend what it's like for whole generations of families to be born and to live and to die under occupation, but that is the reality for Palestinians for decades. And now we have seen the disgraceful bombardment of Gaza, 30,000 people killed, 1.6 million people displaced and under threat of attack while they face one of the worst humanitarian crises on this earth. And as a Labour NEC member, it wouldn't be right of me to stand here and fail to address the failure of my party and the failure of our leader, Keir Starmer, who has failed the people of Palestine time and time again and demonised those of us who stand up for Palestinians. It has been the most shameful period in my time as a Labour member, watching my party today play politics when they should be standing clear and unequivocal in their commitment to a ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. But once again, Keir Starmer has failed. He has failed to represent us, and he has ignored the calls of 80% of Labour members who support a ceasefire. 80% of Labour members demand a ceasefire. Keir Starmer, who do you represent? When he was seeking election as Labour leader in January 2020, he promised. He said he would pass legislation that said military action could only be taken with the consent of the Commons. He promised to put human rights at the heart of foreign policy. He promised to review all UK arms sales. He said he would halt arms sales to Saudi Arabia. He promised he would put human rights at the heart of Labour policy. And he has lied. And that is why we need to build an opposition to warmongering in the Labour movement, because the Labour movement doesn't stand by while 30,000 Palestinians are murdered and millions are forcibly displaced. We do not stand by while this goes on, and we stand against these leaders of illegal wars, and we organise for freedom and for peace. And the government has brought shame on this country. They have mobilised the full force of the state through media, through police, through propaganda to describe solidarity marches as hate marches. But we know the reality couldn't be further from it. We are hundreds of thousands, we are millions of people standing for peace, standing for justice, and standing for Palestine. So we're here to call on our representatives to do what you were elected to do. Represent your constituents. Represent the overwhelming millions of people in this country who support a ceasefire. Because otherwise, what are you there for? We know here that condemnation alone is not enough, and that condemnation of our government and Israel is not enough. Marching alone is not enough. But we need to keep organising. And around the world we've seen incredible acts of resistance and solidarity, the historical actions of South Africa and the resulting ICJ ruling shining a light on the hypocrisy of these international powers who claim to be champions of human rights, something we have known to be a lie for many years. But history shows us that apartheid cannot and will not continue. History shows us that peace will come, but when it does, whether it is in days or weeks or years, politicians will try to claim they always supported peace. But we will all here remember their moral cowardice. We will remember their political game playing. We will remember their misrepresentation of you. We will remember that it was actually us. It was us, the people. It was you, the people, who showed leadership in this time. It was the global South. It was South Africa. And it was us who stood for justice. And we will remember the thousands of Palestinians whose stories will never be told. We will remember the lives that have been stolen and can never be brought back because of international cowardice from Britain and the US. And we in the Labour movement, we will remember who within those halls misrepresent the public demand for a ceasefire, which is a demand for peace and a demand for justice and freedom for Palestine. And it is only that Labour has uttered the word ceasefire today. It is only because of the pressure that you have put on our so-called elected representatives that they are even considering speaking and uttering the word ceasefire. So don't be silent, don't give up, don't be deterred. We have to keep organising, we have to keep turning out, and we have to keep building a movement for the liberation of Palestine. First a ceasefire, second an end to the siege, and third an end to the occupation, and for a free Palestine! Free, free! 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 Palestine! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Now, we understand that voting has begun inside the chamber, but it's really important for all of us to remember that no matter what way the MPs vote tonight, the pressure is on. A fire has been ignited, and that fire will never go out. Because whatever happens tonight, we will be here again. We will keep marching, we will keep lobbying, we will keep boycotting, we will keep doing anything and everything that we can until we see peace, justice and freedom in Palestine. Now, seeing as they're voting, I want you to be louder than ever before. No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! In our thousands, in our millions! 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 Our next speaker is here today representing Friends of Al-Aqsa, who are one of the organisers of today's rally alongside Stop the War, the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, the Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament, the Muslim Association of Britain and the Palestine Forum in Britain. Please make some noise for Sauda Bada from Friends of Al-Aqsa.
Brothers, sisters, what we have been witnessing over the past 5 months has been nothing short of horrifying. 30,000 Palestinians massacred in one of the worst genocides our generation has witnessed. Hospitals, schools, ambulances, healthcare workers and journalists all targeted, with the casualties growing at an alarming rate and over 2 million people displaced. For 76 years, Israel have been allowed to continue and wage their continuous war crimes without a shred of accountability. Any condemnations are swiftly brushed under the carpet. Any uttering of the word genocide, of which this undoubtedly is a textbook case of, as echoed by the ICJ, is dismissed. Any nation that stands in the way of Israel's genocidal intent are instantaneously put down by not only Israel, but their Western-backed superpowers. And standing right behind them every step of the way, as they have done for over a century, is our government. Our shameless and warmongering government, who remain responsible for almost all the disasters we have witnessed across the Middle East. Our government, who are continuing to aid the bloody war crimes being committed against the Palestinian people. Our government, who are funding an illegal occupation, maintaining apartheid, and are allowing for an ethnic cleansing of Palestine. At At the core of their plan, they are hoping that we are conditioned into apathy and the desensitization of the suffering of the Palestinian people. But they forgot one major flaw in their plan, that we, the people, will never turn a blind eye to the suffering of the Palestinians. We, the people who stand for peace, stand with our brothers and sisters in Palestine in their fight for liberation against apartheid and imperialism. Just over 3 months ago, our MPs had a choice to stand on the side of humanity, of peace, of justice, to put an end to the massacres. And what happened? 293 spineless and immoral MPs voted against the basic call for a ceasefire. They chose to stand on the wrong side of history and made their absolute lack of humanity evident. And in doing so, they gave the green light for Israel to continue with their countless war crimes and their intent to wipe Gaza from the map completely. But enough is enough. We are done with their meaningless condolences, their insubstantial condemnations, and their utter lack of action. For far too long, our MPs have taken our votes for granted. A call for an immediate ceasefire is the absolute bare minimum. They had a choice to vote on this months ago to prevent the countless massacres that have taken place since. The basic call for an immediate ceasefire is not enough. If our MPs do not call for an end to the arms trade and a complete end to the occupation and apartheid, they will not be voted in. End of. Our government has the blood of thousands of Palestinians on their hands. And whatever happens, just know that we will never forgive or forget. And regardless of the outcome tonight, as we have been doing for months, as millions of us have been doing all across the globe, we will continue protesting, marching, lobbying, boycotting. We are all united for one cause: an end to the bombardment, a call for a permanent ceasefire. And when a ceasefire is called, we will continue to make noise, to be heard, to demand justice until there is an end to the illegal occupation, an end to the ethnic cleansing, an end to the apartheid. Because it's ceasefire now and free Palestine always. So let's make a promise now to keep up the momentum and build and grow the movement and continue to speak out whenever we see anyone suffering from injustice. Let's continue to wave our Palestine flags high and proud. Let's continue to boycott all those companies that are complicit in apartheid. Let's continue to stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Palestine. Let's continue to stand up to our government and show our institutions that we will not be stopped or silenced until there is an end to the illegal occupation and apartheid. So say it together with me now. Free, free! Palestine. 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 Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sauda, and to Friends of Al-Aqsa for all your really powerful work for Gaza. In our thousands, in our millions. 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 Friends, our next speaker is representing the Muslim Association of Britain, one of the organisers of all the demonstrations for Palestine. MAB has worked tirelessly for many years against war and for the people of Gaza. Please welcome Ragad Al-Tikriti.
Dear brothers and sisters, dear friends, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. As we stand here today, we say it again and again, and we want you to continue to be shocked. Over 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, and the number continues to rise as we speak. 30,000 Palestinians dead. Over 2,000 families completely wiped off the civil registry. Yet, our politicians are still debating whether Gaza deserves a ceasefire. Shame. The same politicians who are refusing to call for a permanent and immediate ceasefire are the ones complicit in this genocide. 4 months ago, our parliament had the opportunity to vote for a ceasefire. They did not. Every innocent person killed since then is a stain on their record. Are the continuous images of disfigured, burned, beyond recognition bodies not enough? Is the displacement of over 2 million Palestinians not enough? Were the cries of Hind as she lay next to her dead family not enough? Is the continued bombardment of hospitals not enough? Never let them forget this moment, that in the face of a genocide, they continued to provide cover for Israel as it committed war crimes. Never let them forget how they stood by as a genocide unfolded. So let us say it clearly. MPs who cannot call for a ceasefire in the face of the genocide are complicit. They have the blood of Palestinians on their hands. Never let them be comfortable in their seats of power. So whilst they want to normalize genocide, we refuse. Whilst they want to normalize the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians, we refuse. Seeing one video after the next of dead Palestinians is not normal. Seeing Palestinians picking their families' bodies in pieces is not normal. We will continue to mobilize and organize. We know that despite their inhumanity, a permanent ceasefire will come. Justice will prevail. And those who stood by genocide will be remembered by history. And when the time comes, we will vote them all out. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no vote. Thank you very much. No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! Now, it sounds like it's absolute chaos in the Houses of Parliament. It sounds like no one knows what they're doing. And that does reflect the success of our movement, of our campaigning. The pressure is on. But I think it's our duty to make them feel the full force of what they are voting for and what they could be voting against. So, Rishi Sunak, what do you say? Rishi Sunak, what do you say? Rishi Sunak, what do you say? Keir Starmer, what do you say? Keir Starmer, what do you say? Keir Starmer, what do you say? And David Lammy, what do you say? David Lammy, what do you say? And James Cleverly, what do you say? James Cleverly, what do you say?
Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! And in our thousands, in our millions! 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 Okay, I want you to repeat after me. Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Stop the genocide! Stop the genocide! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! End apartheid! End apartheid! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Stop the genocide! Stop the genocide! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Stop the genocide! Stop the genocide! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! End apartheid! End apartheid! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Stop the genocide! Stop the genocide! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! End apartheid! End apartheid! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Stop the genocide! 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 Okay, now when I look out into this crowd, into every single crowd, at all of these demonstrations that our coalition holds for the Palestinian people, it's so wonderful to see so many young people, because we know that it's going to be our generation that sees the freedom of the Palestinians. We have waited for far, far too long. I will never have to tell my children that Palestine is still an occupied country. Now, our next speaker represents the youth voice of the Palestine movement. She's the Palestine Solidarity Campaign's Youth and Student Officer. Please make some noise for Stella Swain.
Thank you so much, everyone. What a great crowd. I've just come literally right now from Goldsmiths University, where students are currently in occupation. That's right. They're demanding that Goldsmiths fully divest from all companies complicit in Israel's genocidal attacks, that the university makes a statement in support of a permanent ceasefire now and for meaningful support for Palestinian students. They've been in occupation since this time yesterday and they're staying there tonight. So I want to tell them that they had a massive cheer from you guys. So can you lift your flags up? Give a cheer for the occupiers at Goldsmiths. Woo! They're doing this to set a precedent. When we see our fellow students in Palestine murdered, their universities destroyed by Israeli bombs, with arms deals funded by the British government, with weapons made by companies that our universities invest in, we say no more. Solidarity means action right here, right now, which is why this occupation is so important. This is the future of the university. And I hope we see many more occupations as students take back the space that has so often been closed off to so many. And in this long fight, we can draw strength from the knowledge that though they are few, we are many. All solidarity to the occupiers at Goldsmiths. They're asking everyone to sign their open letter, which you can find the link to on our social media, and for everyone to show their support by sharing their content online. So you can find them by searching up Goldsmiths for Palestine. And for other students in the crowd tonight, let's build the campaign and escalate in every university across the country. Woo! So, solidarity to the student occupiers, to a free Palestine in our lifetimes. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Thank you so much, everyone. Woo!
Thanks very much indeed. That was brilliant. Now, I keep on trying to work out what's going on in there so I can give you a proper report. And I just get the hang of it, and then something else goes crazy. So basically, there's absolute chaos in there. The speaker has gone missing and can't be found. So the SNP called for a suspension. That's been denied. So now the whole of the SNP have walked out in disgust, followed by most of the Tories. So we'll keep you updated. So friends, I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Janine Hourani from Palestinian Youth Movement. Big hand for Janine.
Free, 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 from the river to the sea. Over 3 months ago, we stood exactly here to demand that the UK Parliament call for a ceasefire in Gaza. And over 3 months ago, 293 MPs voted no. Shame! Today, we're out here again, demanding again that the UK Parliament call for a ceasefire. But whether they call for one or not, they are too late. They are 30,000 martyrs too late. They are 69,000 wounded Palestinians too late. They are 36 destroyed hospitals too late. They are 1.9 million internally displaced people too late. They are too late. What will it take for parliamentarians to act? Over the last almost 5 months, we have taken to the streets in our millions. We have organized in our unions, our universities, our communities. We've shut down bridges and weapons factories and train stations, and yet our MPs have refused to call for a ceasefire. Shame! It has never been clearer to us, the masses, where the interests of the political class lie. It is with ethnic cleansing and genocide. It is with death and destruction. It is with the imperial war machine. Their interests do not reflect our interests. They do not reflect the will of the people, and they certainly do not reflect their constituents. We are here today for Palestine and for Gaza, but this is not only about Palestine. The political class do not serve the interests of the people, whether it's calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, or increasing NHS funding, or replacing unsafe cladding in our homes, or better pay for unionized workers. Time and time again, the political class of this country have shown us that their priority is profit over people. Shame! The only solution is for us to get organized. We need to continue organizing in our workplaces, our schools, our universities, our communities. We need to continue taking to the streets, continue taking action, continue building coalitions and building power. We will never give up until Palestine is free, because our people, the Palestinian people, show us every day what it means to keep fighting. I promise you all, I promise you that we will win. It is only a matter of time, and the more organized we are, the stronger we are, the closer we get to liberation. Free, free, Palestine. Free, free, Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the sea to the river, Palestine will be
free! Friends, I'm honoured to welcome our next speaker, the Palestinian ambassador, Hussam Zumlot.
Friends, sisters, brothers, after 100,000 Palestinians murdered, maimed, injured, after millions of our people being starved, thirsty, collectively punished, after Israel has destroyed 70% of our homes in Gaza, after Israel has bombed our entire health sector, our entire education sector, your politicians behind us here are still debating if Israel has violated international law. They are still debating if they should call for an immediate ceasefire. They are still debating the International Court of Justice ruling if Israel has committed a genocide. But you know what? You know what? We have you. We have you. And they hear you. Let them hear you. Let them hear you. Let them hear your voice. Let them hear your voice. Let them see your flag. You are saving them. You are saving them. You are saving our humanity. You are saving our international order. You are saving all of us, because those who think that only us, the Palestinians, are in it, they must think again. We are all in it. If we allow the mass murder of children, we are all in it. If we allow the mass destruction of homes, we are all in it. If we allow the collective punishment of innocent people, we are all in it. But we see the energy, your energy. We see you being citizens. We see you enforcing your will. We see you active. We see you mobilized. And I tell you, we will get there. We will get there. We will get a permanent and immediate ceasefire. We will rebuild Gaza. We will rebuild Gaza. We will embrace our children. And we, together with you, will liberate Palestine. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, we're going to do some chanting. We need them to hear us in Parliament, where apparently it's just complete shambles now. So we've successfully broken the already broken British political system. All right, free, 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 from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the sea to the river, Palestine will live forever. From the sea to the river, Palestine will live forever. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be
Ceasefire now! 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 Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! 1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8! Israelis a terrorist state! 1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8! Israelis a terrorist state! In our thousands, in our millions! We are all Palestinians! In our thousands, in our millions! We are all Palestinians! In our thousands, in our millions! We are all Palestinians! In our thousands, in our millions! We are all Palestinians! In our thousands, in our millions! We are all Palestinians! Free, free! Palestine! 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 From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Again, let's say this loud enough so they can hear us. Rishi Sunak! Shame on you! 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 Keir Starmer! 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 Shame on you! Rishi Sunak! Shame on you! Rishi Sunak! Shame on you! Rishi Sunak! Shame on you! Keir Starmer! Shame on you! Keir Starmer! Shame on you! Rishi Sunak, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! Rishi Sunak, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! Rishi Sunak, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! Keir Starmer, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! Keir Starmer, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! Keir Starmer, you can't hide! We charge you with genocide! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine!
Okay, let's try this one now. So repeat after me. I believe. I believe. I believe that we. I believe that we will win. 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 Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Said from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Free, free. Palestine. 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 In our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine.
Thank you very much. Please, friends, give a really warm welcome to the amazing Ben Jamal, Director of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. Friends,
I wanted to be able to tell you what had happened in Parliament tonight. But when you get home, or those of you who've looked on your phones, I can't begin to explain what is going on, because it's a scene of utter chaos going on in Parliament tonight. I have just rung Jeremy Corbyn to try to explain to me what's happening, and I'll quote to you directly. He said to me, "Ben, it is a complete shit show." You'll see all this when you get home. Apparently the Speaker of the House of Commons has gone missing. The Tories and SNP have walked out of the chamber, and now, believe it or not, they are debating whether to suspend the sitting or to continue in a private sitting, removing all of the cameras and all of the people from the public gallery. Friends, you might think of it as a farce. It is a disgrace. They are playing games over there tonight. Parliamentary games with people's lives. Shame upon all of them. Behind me in that house is a moral vacuum. So let us remember why we are here, because we all know why we are here. We are here because for 4+ months, our leaders, the people sitting behind us in that house of chaos, have been trying to normalise mass slaughter, have been trying to convince us that what we are witnessing is not a genocide. Well, friends, we have all seen images and heard stories that we will never forget. All of us, all of you, saw the image of 7-year-old Sidra blown out of her home by a missile that left her mutilated body hanging from a wall in Rafah like a piece of meat. We will not forget it, nor the image of the last photograph of her and her sister alive, running in play. Friends, last week you all saw the images of the Palestinian Red Crescent walking through the rubble of destroyed homes with a small sack, a tiny sack, in which they were trying to gather the body parts of children so that their families would have something to identify them by, something to bury. We will not forget any of this, nor will we forgive the complicity of our leaders, those in that building behind us, who, as Israel openly plans the mass ethnic cleansing of millions of Palestinians, continues to sell Israel weapons, suspends funding to UNRWA, and demonizes all of us protesting. Now I want to say a word about Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. There are many words I could choose. Now, Labour has tried to convince you today that it's tabling an amendment that is calling for an immediate ceasefire, but that is not what its amendment says. Its amendment effectively says there should be a ceasefire when Israel determines that it is ready to stop the killing. It wants to give Israel the authority to determine when the slaughter will stop. And Labour will not support the SNP motion. Why? Because it does not think it is acceptable to talk about Israel's collective punishment of the Palestinian people. It doesn't want to accuse Israel of war crimes. Keir Starmer is not sure whether it is a war crime to bomb schools, hospitals and mosques. He doesn't know if it is a war crime to forcibly displace 1.7 million people, leaving them to shelter wherever they can, in the rain, in the cold, in the ruins of their destroyed homes, hospitals and mosques. He does not know whether it is a war crime to cut off food, water and essential medical supplies to an entire population. But friends, you need to understand this. There is a reason why Labour today is twisting in the wind. There is a reason for the chaos descending behind you, and that is because MPs are feeling the pressure. They are becoming worried. They are becoming worried that the people in their constituencies who are protesting in their hundreds of thousands, who are confronting them day by day outside their offices, who this week sent over 50,000 emails to MPs demanding a ceasefire, and the 3,000 of you who turned up to lobby them face to face today, they are worried that if they continue to greenlight genocide, you may not vote for them. You need to prove them right. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire. So friends, we do not stop, whatever the outcome of the shit show behind us tonight. We do not stop. We continue to ramp up the pressure. On March the 2nd, we are having a national day of action targeting Barclays Bank. We want you out in your towns and cities protesting and picketing every branch of Barclays until it ceases to invest in the companies supplying weapons to Israel. On March the 8th, we want you protesting in your workplaces, in the next workplace day of action. Walk out, hold sit-ins, demonstrate in your workplaces, and the next day, on March the 9th, we want you back here on the streets of London in your hundreds of thousands. Friends, we cannot stop because our Palestinian brothers and sisters will never stop. They will never cease resisting. They will never yield to their oppressors. We will not stop. We cannot stop. We will never stop marching, never stop protesting, never stop boycotting until a ceasefire is called, until the occupation is ended, until apartheid is dismantled, until all of the Palestinian people from the river to the sea are finally free. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Ben. And while the chaos is going on in there, let's send our messages loud and clear. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! 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 In our thousands, in our millions! 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 Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! 1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8! Israel is a terrorist state! 1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8! Israel is a terrorist state! 1, 2, 3, 4! Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8! Israel is a terrorist state! Free, free! Palestine! 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 Okay, we're going to try a new one. I'm going to say something. You then say, shut it down. The occupation! Shut it down! The border wall! Shut it down! The siege on Gaza! Shut it down! The whole damn system! Shut it down! The occupation! Shut it down! The
action! The border wall! The siege on Gaza! The genocide! The genocide! The government! The government! The whole damn system! The whole damn system! The whole damn system! Free, free! 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 From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! In our thousands, in our millions! In our thousands, in our millions! In our thousands, in our millions! Okay, I want everyone to repeat after me. We want justice! We want justice! We want action! We want action! We want boycott! We want boycott! We want sanctions! We want sanctions! We want justice! We want justice! We want action! We want action! We want boycott! We want boycott! We want sanctions! We want sanctions! We want justice! We want justice! We want action! We want action! We want boycott! We want boycott! We want sanctions! We want sanctions! Brothers and sisters, it is now less than 1 month until Ramadan. Let's make sure that we do not have any Israeli dates on our table. We are not breaking our fast with Israeli dates. Let's make sure to check the label. Free, free! Palestine! 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 All right, I've got a new one that's a bit of a throwback if any of you are around in the student movement in the kind of mid-2010s, okay? But I feel like it's appropriate for tonight. Okay, it goes, that's not what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Okay, so let's try it. That's not what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. That's not what democracy looks like. That's not what democracy looks like. That's not what democracy looks like. That's a pretty good attempt. That's a pretty good attempt. Okay, let's put our flags high in the air again now, guys. I know you've been out here for hours in the cold, but it's been really amazing tonight. The energy is incredible. Okay, once more. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. I said from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terrorist state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terrorist state. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. In our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. I said in our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. In our thousands, in our millions. We are all Palestinians. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Free, free. Palestine. Woo!
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to all of you for coming this evening. The truth is, friends, that those people in that so-called parliament are in complete chaos and in complete disarray. And we know why that is. It's because they, in their majority, have no principle. They have not opposed the genocide. They have not opposed the arms sales. They have not stood up for a ceasefire. And they are in chaos because we, the movement supporting the people of Gaza and the Palestinians in their struggle, we ultimately are more powerful than they are, and we will force them to a ceasefire, and we will continue our struggle until Palestine is sovereign and free. So friends, before we leave, I will remind you of the next important dates. We have on the 2nd of March a very important conference taking place in London at Birkbeck College, the University of London. It is a conference called No Ceasefire, No Vote, and it is organised by the independent councillors and independent candidates who are standing up in the elections for the people of Gaza. So if you can get along to that conference in London on the 2nd of March, please do that. And then on the 8th of March, Friday the 8th of March, that is our next workplace day of action. And please also remember, when you're doing that action, let's remember to highlight the criminal role of the arms companies and the factories which make the weapons of war that are taken to Israel. So remember all those things. And then finally, friends, remember on the 9th of March, this is our next big national mobilisation for Gaza. And remember, friends, turn out on that. Bring all your friends, bring all your colleagues, workmates, family, everybody, because we have to ensure not only a ceasefire, not only an end to the genocide, but we also need free, 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 free. Thank you for coming, friends. Safe journey home, and ultimately we will prevail for Palestine. Thank you.